Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I didn't feel like playing Battlefield 4. I definitely didn't feel like playing the Battlefield Hardline beta, and so I decided to jump in and played some Battlefield 3. But instead of doing the standard loadouts, like using the M16A3, the popular M416, using the really good guns in the game, I decided to give myself a challenge. A long time ago, a really long time ago, I had a couple viewers recommend that I try a quote-unquote paintball setup where you use the M5K with no extended mag, so you have 21 rounds in a magazine, the infrared night vision scope, a suppressor, and the flashlight. And the reasoning or the thought process behind it is that it sort of looks like a paintball gun, it sort of looks and hits as hard as a paintball gun would, and it's not a very effective way at killing your enemies. And so I was like, hey, you know, I've always wanted to give this a try, I've always wanted to go back and just try this loadout out, and so I gave it a go. And during my playtime, one of the things I thought about is the infrared night vision scope, because while I don't think it's the most worthless thing in the game, like you can still do well with it. Like clearly you can still kill your enemies, you can still go on some incredible kill streaks with this thing attached. I'm finding that it doesn't really enhance the gameplay at all, and I'm almost wondering to myself, is it even worth having it in the Battlefield franchise? Like, is it a worthy attachment? Do enough people use it in Battlefield 3 or even in Battlefield 4? And should the next big Battlefield title, Battlefield Hardline or like Bad Company 3 or 5, will they be adding it back on in? And the main reason why I bring this up is that DICE has already come out and said that they have no intentions of creating a true night map. We've gotten some pseudo night maps in the past. With Battlefield 3, we had Tehran Highway. In Battlefield 4, you could say that the beginning of Dawnbreaker, that's sort of a night map. But when you really get down to it, you can see everything in front of you. It's not night really in the slightest. You don't have to rely on your flashlights. You don't have to rely on the infrared night vision scopes to see people in front of you. You don't really get those amazing particle effects that I would think would be amazing with the Frostbite engine. We get these pseudo night maps that are fun. Granted, I love Dawnbreaker. It's one of my favorite maps in Battlefield 4 as long as no one's camping on top of the rooftops, but we never get a true night map. And apparently, the reasoning behind this is that people just don't play on them as often. Like, according to DICE's stats, and I don't think they're lying, they have no reason to lie about this, but day maps are just way more popular than night maps. You have a lot more servers running them, they're way more popular, and that's the reasoning behind it. Like, they want to create maps that people are going to play on, like that can make sense. They want to make a popular title, and if you have a lot of night maps in there, people just avoid them, so why create them in the first place? And while that makes 100% sense, I see why they do this. For me personally, it's a massive disappointment. Like, I've talked about this in the past, but I love the concept of having a true night map in Battlefield, because I think that it would just open up so many more possibilities, not only to have awesome tactical gameplay, but just different types of gameplay. Let's imagine for a second we're on a completely dark map with maybe a couple of light sources. Maybe there are some barrels that are on fire, maybe there are some street lamps that illuminate some sections of the street, but for the most part, if you go into a dark alley, you're not going to be able to see like literally anything in front of you. But if that is the gameplay that you have to work around, so many more options become available. First of all, the flashlight would no longer be useless. Like, if you enter a dark hallway, you could now use the flashlight to illuminate what's in front of you. And if you weren't using the flashlight, it's good luck going down that hallway where people using the infrared night vision scope would be able to take you out. Also, if you use the flashlight and you're going against someone who is using the infrared night vision scope, you can blind them with it. You know, granted, if you use a flashlight at the wrong time, you know, person off in the distance can see your beacon, they can see exactly where you are, but it would be a risk-reward type of system. And so personally, I just love the idea of having that type of combat, but the fact that DICE has said that this isn't going to happen, and that there isn't going to even be modding tools, like, that's probably the biggest burn, is that they have no intentions of bringing mods to the community. And I can guarantee, 100% guarantee, if modders had access to these tools, they would create night maps in a heartbeat. Like, I love the idea. I know that other Battlefielders out there love the idea of it. It would be some amazing tactical gameplay, and the fact that that is never going to be in the Battlefield franchise, at least in the foreseeable future, is such a large disappointment. But a long story short, and getting back to my original topic about the infrared night vision scopes, I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about keeping them in the game? Because while they don't hurt anyone being in the game, like if no one's using them or every once in a while you want to use this to switch up your gameplay, that's fine, but it also takes up development time for them to add them into the game. Like, someone has to create the scopes, they have to make sure they line up with all of the weapons, they have to work with all of the attachments. Like, development time goes into creating these scopes, and it's like, if you're not going to have any true night maps that actually take advantage of the night vision aspect and not a day vision, which is basically what they are right now, why even have them in the game? And so I'd like to know what you guys think about this topic down below. But as for the actual challenge and going back and playing Battlefield 3, hot damn, this game is a hell of a lot of fun. Like, I've been playing the hardline beta, and while it's good, I think it's got a long ways to go. A long ways to go for me to be excited about that title. But going back and playing Battlefield 3 is always amazing. Like, every single time I jump in, I have a good time. The netcode is great, the maps are fantastic. Speaking of maps, I was playing on Sane Crossing Conquest, like 32 players, and it was sweet. Like, that map is so well balanced. It's got a couple of vehicles in there, so that is something you have to look out for. But as long as you have two teams working together, or not working together, but going back and back, it's a great fight. You can have some of the best matches that you can ever have in a Battlefield game. Like, I truly do believe that Sane Crossing, Conquest Small, not Conquest Large. Conquest Large can get a little crazy because of the bridges, but Conquest Small is such a great experience. As for the paintball setup, I was a little surprised at how effective it was. Like, when I heard that this was supposed to be a paintball loadout, I assumed that it wasn't going to hit very hard. I assumed that it was going to be really difficult to go on a kill streak, but because I'm using the M5K, which admittedly doesn't hit as hard as like something like the G3A3 from Battlefield 3, or let's say like the Bulldog for Battlefield 4, it's still really good. Like, 21 rounds in the magazine, and that is something you're going to have to work around, and that was a little challenging. I was only able to get around 2 kills per mag, and then I'd have to reload. But as long as I was being smart, I was using the suppressor effectively, I was trying to flank my enemies, I was able to just rule the field. Like, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, let me know what you think about the Iron Vs. Do you think that they should continue to be in the game? Do you think that they should invest their time on actually creating attachments that are useful? Or, you know, do you want them to create an actual night map in the upcoming game? Let me know down below. Until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.